Hey, Vanna.
Hey, Aspire office, how are you?
Uh, we're doing great. How about you?
I'm hanging in there.
So I guess you know why we're virtually meeting today. We're starting a new thing out of Aspire called Aspire25. So we're going to ask you 25 random questions today, and you can feel free to give us as much information for each one as possible.
So ready.
Okay. So, what was the first thing you did when you woke up today?
Definitely thought about what I was gonna have for breakfast. Pancakes.
So,
I
is that your normal typical routine? Do you normally have pancakes for breakfast?
yeah, they're these protein pancakes that I have, and I
Okay.
sprinkle chocolate chips in them.
Okay, so always the protein pancakes. Always that's your go-to. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are your plans for this week? I think you told me earlier that you're on spring break. So I know that, the social distancing is still going on, but what do you have planned for this week?
Absolutely nothing. Watch as much Drag Race as possible until.
Okay. Okay, so Drag Race. So obviously you're like a RuPaul fan.
Oh yes.
Okay. Okay. So, um, this question is maybe pertinent to what's going on with social distancing right now, but if you were going to be marooned on a desert island like Tom Hanks in Castaway, what's one item you would need to have with you?
I would say my Mountaineer knife I used to wear when I was the Mountaineer. It's
Okay.
about this long. Definitely with
So
me.
that's a total practical response. Like I was trying to think of my answer to that and I was like, "Oh, I don't know, like my phone or something." You're like, "Oh no, a knife to like actually survive." So what are you currently listening to music wise?
Dua Lipa put out a new album. It's like really 80s. That's
Okay.
what
Definitely have to check that out.
it's good.
Uh, so what's one show that you always have to watch without question? I mean, you kind of said RuPaul earlier. Is that what you're going to stick with for this answer?
Schitt's Creek, definitely.
Okay.
I watch that while I study. It's a
Okay.
go-to.
Yeah. Which character do you identify with?
The dad, definitely. I'm
Definitely
the
the dad.
practical one. That's like, what are you guys doing right
Yeah.
now?
So tell us something that you can't leave the house without.
I would have to say my cell phone. I'm pretty glued to it.
Glued to the cell phone. Uh,
Yeah.
what would you consider your guiltiest pleasure?
Uh, the chocolate chips and my healthy protein pancakes,
Okay,
definitely.
just the chocolate chips. That's the thing you get.
Chocolate in general.
Okay, so like you're ready for Easter, like all the Easter candy's on sale now. So you're like, I need to get Easter candy.
Yeah, I mean, I wish if there wasn't a risk of me getting a deadly virus,
Yeah,
definitely be there right
yeah.
now.
Maybe you can like do curbside. So yeah.
Instacart, all the chocolate.
Yeah. So where do you think you spent the most time during your time at WVU? So when you were an undergrad, where do you think you spent most of your time?
Probably the library. Sadly,
Uh,
downtown library, beautiful reading room. That's where I went.
so this might be the answer to the next question. Where do you think you should have spent the most time?
Honestly, more time downtown. I probably should have let loose a little bit more.
Okay, should have had a little bit more fun and not been in the library so much.
Yes.
Uh, Looking back, is there anything you wish you would have done more of in undergrad?
I think that is connect with more people.
Okay.
I wish that I would have just made a bigger effort to just connect with all sorts of different types of people.
So, what's your most memorable experience while you were completing your undergraduate degree at WVU? What was the thing that you look back on and you remember the most?
I would probably say being the Mountaineer during the Women's Big 12 Championship. We won the championship, and I just remember the confetti falling, and I was in my Mountaineer gear screaming. That was unforgettable.
So that sounds like definitely, the confetti falling. It sounds. Did that take a long time to get out of your hair, or was it just like, paper confetti?
The coonskin cap really
Uh,
protected the hair.
okay, so there's a definite benefit to the coonskin cap.
Yes, there
Okay,
was.
okay. Um, what advice would you give to current undergrads?
I would just say get involved. Just whatever you're passionate about, go out and do it.
So, as you know, pretty much everyone in the world is practicing social distancing right now, and that's definitely changing things for students. And so, can you offer any advice to current students maybe dealing with this difficult time, at home, away from their friends, and outside the normal realm of a schedule?
I would say cut yourself some slack. I think that the internet perpetuates a lot of like, oh, I made this schedule and oh, I'm doing this to work out and stuff. And if you did absolutely nothing today, that's okay
Yeah.
because we are in an actual pandemic right now
Yeah.
and you don't have to write the next great American novel while you're home.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think most bosses and college professors are like, cutting everyone a little bit of slack, or hopefully they're doing that. Um, what did you do once you graduated from WVU? So obviously you did your undergrad here. So what did you do once you graduated from WVU?
So I went on a Fulbright. Actually, I was a English teacher in Bulgaria for a
Okay.
year.
So can you tell us a little bit about your Fulbright experience?
Oh my goodness, the Bulgarian Fulbright was just lovely. I got to teach high schoolers English and be a coach for their like debate team, and we won second place in nationals, which was really cool. And I got to travel all around the world with a bunch of amazing people from different walks of life. Visited like almost 20 countries. It was really neat.
So why did you decide to do Bulgaria? I know personally, even as a political scientist, I had to look up where Bulgaria was on a map, and I was like, oh, that's where Bulgaria is. So why did you pick Bulgaria?
So Bulgaria is very similar to West Virginia. They're like the West Virginia of the EU. They're very underestimated. We face a lot of the same economic and social issues, and I was just fascinated about its people and how they were responding to the same difficulties that we have as a state.
Okay. So some of our students now, our current students, are getting ready to apply for Fulbright. So they'll apply for Fulbright here in the near future, and have everything in by, I think, middle of October. So why would you encourage current students to apply for Fulbright?
I just think that it's an amazing experience that makes you feel very small. I think a lot of Fulbrighters who are applying are usually the big men on campus, and Fulbright allows you to step into a different world and to really see problems and people in just like this huge, like multifaceted perspective. And I just think that it's a great experience. You learn so much about yourself and about other people, and it completely changed my life.
So for people that don't know you, which I don't know, I think there's probably a lot of people that definitely know who you are and have heard about you. But you're currently in med school, so can you tell us maybe a little bit about your med school experience so far?
Okay, so being a non-traditional med school student, because I did take that gap year, I was a little bit nervous about coming in, not studying for a whole year. But I've had a really good time. The great thing about WVU is they have a really strong like rural health institution, and I've gotten involved in rural medicine really early. So I've been able to do outreach events to rural middle schools around the state where we go in and we talk to them about health and diet and stuff. And I've really been able to use my passion for rural medicine because I am from Southern West Virginia, a more rural part of the state. And I've been able to do a lot of like service and give back to my community. So that's one aspect of medical school that I'm really, really glad I get the opportunity to serve the state while having to study long hours. So
So you mentioned a gap year, and I know sometimes students maybe are a little bit afraid of taking a gap year, like you mentioned there. Do you think that you would recommend someone taking a gap year between undergraduate, either medical school or grad school?
yeah, I think for me, I was hesitant a little, but I was pretty burnt out in undergrad. I was a go getter and I wanted a 4.0 and all this stuff. And I realized I was kind of losing my passion for learning because I was basically forcing myself to exceed beyond anyone's expectations. And I think that it fosters this emotional maturity. I find that I'm able to step outside of the realm of academics and see the world in a different perspective and see that there is something past this like grade that I get, and that even though that I'm working really hard right now, that 1 year gave me this maturity to kind of see past my grades and to see the bigger picture.
So what made you choose medical school? Why did you decide to do that? Did you always want to be a doctor?
Yeah, so like growing up in Southern West Virginia, my dad was a coal miner, and when I was like 8, he got injured really bad, and they almost amputated his hand actually. And in Southern West Virginia, they didn't have the tools to take care of him, so they had to airlift him to like Charleston or. And it really struck me that there are a lot of people in Southern West Virginia who aren't able to just like go to Charleston or go to Morgantown, And always felt like I wanted to bridge that gap between like the proper medical care and get that to them and to be able to give them what they deserve, which is good medical care.
So tell us maybe some of your plans once you graduate medical school. What do you think you're going to do?
So I really want to get my master's in public health. I have accepted a scholarship to serve in rural West Virginia. So I really want to open up a clinic, and I would like to do like preventative medicine and like maybe like a little weight loss clinic because diabetes is huge in Southern West Virginia. And a lot of people, if they learn how to just manage it with diet and exercise, it could really mitigate and prevent a lot of issues down the road. So I think that opening a practice in Southern West Virginia and maybe eventually trying to like influence healthcare policy, I would really like to do that in the future.
So obviously, my next question was going to be if you plan to stay in West Virginia, but you answered that. But then I heard a little bit about maybe doing some policy. So do you think maybe you'd run for office someday?
Oh, I'd love to run for office. I don't know what type of office, maybe governor, maybe something, but I would love to get more involved in the legislative process in the state of West Virginia. And I think that we have so much room to grow, and we have so many resources I feel are untapped that I would like to get a shot at. Just trying to make West Virginia better. It's what I've always wanted to do.
So we're here getting on the last couple questions here, and what do you think West Virginia has to offer students upon graduation? So why should students decide to stay in West Virginia? A lot of our students, the brain drain they call it, maybe leaving the state, and so why would you encourage students to stay in West Virginia? What do you think West Virginia has to offer students?
So I cannot speak for other disciplines, so I'm probably just going to speak to healthcare workers
Okay.
because I don't know a lot about other disciplines. But with healthcare, we've grown up in this state, and the people in the state are so loving, and there's this spirit that Appalachia really like exudes, and I think there's so much room to improve our current healthcare system to bring like more cutting edge technology to bring like different approaches to healthcare to a bunch of different areas of the state that have been kind of ignored and underserved. And there's just so much room to grow as a physician here and to do more creative ways of practicing healthcare. And I just love like the room to expand and try new things in West Virginia. And I think that it's kind of like untapped. And I think this is a beautiful thing. It's like an empty canvas. You could really try different things. That's what I love about like healthcare in West Virginia.
So this is the last question I have for you, and I give you a second or two to think about it. But in 5 words or less, pass along the most important information you can think of to current and future mountaineers.
Ooh,
Only
pass
5 words. So
words. I'll have to count them. Uh, uh, oh my goodness, five. I'm so wordy.
that's the problem with everyone who goes. People who are normally good at school. We're just wordy. So
I would just say go for it.
go for it. Okay, so Vanna is encouraging everyone to go for it. So those are her words of wisdom. If you take nothing else away from anything Vanna said, go for it.
Yeah, put that on your pillow. Just go
Okay.
for it.
Awesome. Well, thanks for answering Aspire's 25 questions. And again, you're the first person to do this, so we're super grateful to you. And this has been super insightful.
Thank you, Aspire. You aspire me every day. Inspire me every day.